Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to an episode of Tatami Talk. My name is Juan, just much cooler Anthony. This is a Judo podcast for Judo players by two Judo players. Now, as you can see, I'm coming at you now from a secure, non-disclosed location, otherwise known as our workout area of our dojo.
It's too hot in the office, huh?
Well, it was really hot. So normally, if something's happening at my house, I'll film here at the office or something, nice chair, but I was going to start doing this in the office, and I was just like setting up, like, I'm burning up, I'm sweating. It's just like, I'm going to go inside the dojo, at least be cooler inside there. But as of right now, here in Los Angeles, we're having a heat wave, and my apartment complex is very old. And so we get a lot of blackouts. So we're going to do it today. And then right when I was leaving my house, it blacked out. So I was like, no, forget it. I'm going to get all my shit, bring it over to the dojo and just do it here. It's just easier. Just easier to come here, do it. Just do it here at the dojo. Screw it. I'm going to say like the other word, do it live. Like I'm just doing it live here. So Anthony, with that, with the heat, how are you doing?
I guess I'm okay. I'm feeling like crap. I was about to say shit, but okay. Yeah, I'm feeling like
as long
crap.
as you don't say the F word, we're pretty good, I think.
I think it's a combination of the heat, lack of sleep, and then going to that training camp. I've just been, you know what's going on with me, but I've been having a lot of family in town and stuff. And so I just haven't been sleeping that well. My back has been hurting. So I had been waking up in the middle of the night. So went to the training camp with just like 3 or 4 hours of sleep, basically.
So that's what's going to be the crux of the episode. So we're going to talk about, so if you didn't know, you've seen our Facebook or our Instagram, actually. Anthony went to the Yandzi training camp that was held out here in Los Angeles. It was a 3-day thing. He went to 2 days, but went to go watch the third day. Just couldn't take it no more. And we'll talk about it later. But before that, I want to get down to some nuts and bolts about stuff. So there are other dojos that we're friends with, friends of our channel and stuff, people like us. And I like to promote things from other dojos that are happening sometimes, you know, like how we try to promote when Rossi Rascal, when his gym did more things that promoted stuff about his club and when he redid his Facebook. So another thing we're going to promote is that friend of ours at 510 Judo this weekend on 9/11. So our episode will come out on Friday. So you have either Friday and Saturday to sign up, I think, hopefully to sign up because you're an online registration. So 510 Judo is doing a beach wrestling tournament and it's mostly wrestling and judo. So let me look up my stuff right here that I have on there. So this is something that Anthony has actually talked about doing before. And actually, if it was closer, we'd have gone to it. It was close to
beach judo, not beach wrestling, though. Come on.
No, I was funny because I don't know. I was going to call it beach judo, but I was checking his stuff out to make sure I had everything correct, my notes. And he has it written down there, beach wrestling. It's called beach wrestling tournament because I'm going to get to it in the rules and stuff that it's mostly, how do I describe it? It's mostly judo, but they're allowing leg grabs. So I guess it's more beach wrestling and we're not doing any submissions. So the thing, like I posted on our own Instagram also about them having this tournament. So it's going to be Sunday, September 11th, which will be 2 days after the podcast comes out. And if you're in the area, sign up for it. If you're not going to go compete, I'll say go watch. This is just something different we're going to be doing. Sambo does this. They've been more popular with wrestlers doing this thing. Right now it's doing beach wrestling. So this is the first time that we're kind of doing beach judo, but this is also no gi. So I don't think you have to wear your gi top. You need for a rash guard or no shirt and just shorts and stuff. I don't know if there's some special rules about Speedos or nothing. Can you imagine going out there, just a little Speedo? I'm out here to wrestle. Come on, he's ready for me. But so it's going to be in Alameda Beach, which is, I believe, on Alameda Island, which is just off of Oakland. So if you're from the Bay, you know where it's at. If you're not from the Bay, yes, there are islands inside the Bay, San Francisco motherfucking Bay. All right. And this is where one of the islands is. That's where the tournament happened. So let's go down to get down to brass tacks about the rules. So here are the rules that they have on there. The first round, so it's going to be first person to get 3 points wins the match. All right. The way you get a point is 1 point for putting your opponent, pushing their opponent outside the ring. So I guess they're going to have like rings or something set up for them to wrestling. I don't know if it's going to be a circle or a squared circle, whichever it's going to be, but a push out's going to be 1 point. All right. you're going to get 1 point for a regular takedown. Okay. So I guess if you just take someone down just like to the butt and to the back, maybe, or just get them down on one butt, maybe, or on their side, like in judo, you're going to get 1 point. Which makes it more judo-ish is that you're going to get 3 points or automatic win for equal. That means, so it's going to be a good, the way they describe it on here, for a throw landing similar as a judo equal, as equal. So if I grab you, get you ippon seonagi or uchimata, whatever, get some air on you, take you down, that's equal. My only question is that since this tournament is allowing leg grabs, if I get a good murotogari or a good double leg on you, pick you up in the air and take you down, would that be 3 points too? I would assume so. I think so, right?
Yeah, I think so. In the end, I think it's just for a fun tournament. They're not going to be like, well, according to this rule, that's like 90, you're 1 degree off from, like, I think they're just having fun. So, yeah.
And then there was no pins, no chokes, no joint locks, just takedowns, which is, so if you're a BJJ guy, that's kind of come to this tournament, this little get together, a little fun thing. If you try to take someone down with a sloppy throw or just do even a good throw, take someone down, try to go for a pin or choke something, like that's nothing. It's mate or stop. I don't know how they're going to do, how they're going to talk in it. But it's like, stop. All right, stand back up. Like, what do you mean? I'm trying to choke this guy out. Sorry. This is all throwing tournament, guys. Sorry. This is geared towards judo, sambo, and wrestlers mostly, you know. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. And again, at the bottom is right here, like, yes, there are leg grabs. Leg grabs are legal. So I can do the kochigari leg grab into the osotogari combination. I'll let them do. It's one of my favorite ones to do, leg grabs. Or like I said, go for single legs or double legs to throw somebody. Or a high crotch, whatever it is, get them in the air to take them down. There is going to be no medals. So sorry if you want a medal or a trophy guy like I am.
Let's make it a sand medal.
Just draw a little thing in the medal. Okay. Oh, if they find like a $C or something. Oh, here's your medal.
They can make podiums out of the sand. Like,
they could definitely do that. Yeah. Big little sand castle. Again, there's going to be no weigh-ins. They're going to try to get people closest together by weight, like around about how much you weigh, how old you are, and stuff. And maybe ask like what your level is, because I want to see like some black belt or some sambo national champion or something come just beat up some white belt.
Some guy shows up and like suplex people's head in the sand, and they're just like wiggling around. You just see the beat.
Great. That would be awesome. Just bury him into the mat, or bury him in the sand. Yeah. So asking people to please sign up for this. And if you've been following us on Instagram, I've been posting it. If I post it again, I already posted it probably. I'm not going to post it again. Okay, we'll post it Friday. To do early registration. So they, like I said before, there's no walk-ups. It's just something that they're just going to do for fun. And I know me and Anthony were talking about doing something similar to this also. And I think people have been listening to our podcast because I've been noticing a lot more dojos doing like not park practice, but like beach practices.
Judo, beach show.
Yeah.
I went to do it with my friend. It was fun. And people were like, oh, that sounds like it hurts. It's actually not that bad. Like,
yeah,
I mean, it's not as nice as our dojo, like, obviously, but I think it's not any worse than when I go to some community centers that use like really thin mats on wooden floors.
So like, we'll get to that later.
It's not any worse than that. Yeah. It's not any worse than that.
But my thing is that you probably have some really good footwork. The stands nice and hot and stuff. And
yeah. I'm personally worried about twisting my knee or ankle in the sand. So that's
in the sand.
Yeah. That's my worry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can't hear a word you're saying, Anthony. Sorry.
Oh, you're probably having some connection issues at the dojo.
There, now I heard you.
Yeah. So I'm just worried about twisting my ankle or knee in the sand. Like we always hear stories about our old dojo, how it's just sawdust with tarp over it, and then you'd have to like stop once in a while to rake it over, smooth it out.
So the funny story about that is our old original dojo that was in this shack, this like building. It's like really funny building. So what they did is that they had sawdust that they would flatten out with a rake. So it's flattened out, so it's nice and smooth, a little bit airy. And they put a tarp over that, and that's what they practice on. So I think it was like once a month or once every few months, when they would get clumpy and stuff and start getting compact too much, they would take the tarp off, get the rake it out nice and smooth again, and then put the tarp back on there. And that one I think was bad about like ankle. It was more about just laying it out hard. Our mats before we had here at Hollywood, those mats were terrible because it was foam with tumbling mats on top of that and then a tarp on top of that. And when those things started getting separated, you have these holes in the mat in certain areas that you know, like, okay, don't step there if your foot's going to get stuck, or you don't get thrown there into that hole and that's going to get stuck. Just, that was the worst. But I really think this idea of doing these beach things is a great idea for a community. Yeah. My only thing is that I hope it's not too hot for your footwork, or you get thrown into some hot sand and you try to jump up again.
Oh my God. I think it depends on the beach, because I've been to some beaches where the sand doesn't get really hot. Like it's okay. And then I've been to some beaches where the hands are just like lava, you know?
Oh, yeah. I always end up going to the beach with hot lava sand. Like I'm just like, where's my sandals? Where's my sandals?
Yeah, so hopefully the sand's not like burning people for them.
Well, it's gonna end. What will happen is they'll start off on the beach sand, like the dry sand. It'll end up getting closer and closer to the water and stuff. Yeah. They're pretty much doing judo in the water after a while.
Yeah.
All right, but this is a great thing. Look it up. It's 510 Judo. If you live in the Bay Area or you're visiting that weekend, go check it out. It's going to be at Alameda Beach. Sounds like a fun, great thing to do. And me and Anthony might even set something up one day like this. We always talk about it, but we never do it. People are stealing our ideas.
But which is funny because we might as well talk about it since the beginning. But we've been doing more short video content. I think our last one was about what did we just release?
Well, it was What's in the Bag, and I was
What's in the Bag? Yeah. So we did that, and then I mentioned it even online on Reddit. Some people have been asking me about it. We're gonna release a Ukemi video. Mm-hmm. Originally it was just gonna be these are some common mistakes with Ukemi or details that people don't mention, and we didn't want to like re-record everything that you can find online because there's tons of Ukemi content online. So, but we did run into some technical difficulties with our camera setup. So we recorded it like 3 times, I think.
Yeah.
And we're still like,
every time something happens.
Every time something happens, like we lost audio the first time, and the second time someone interrupted or something, and then third time the outro, like the end got cut off, I think.
Yeah.
And then we were like, well, we don't want to just re-record the outro and then say, why are you guys wearing different gis and your hair is like longer kind of thing. So after a while, I think we decided to just record the thing from scratch again. So we need to do that again. And I was talking to our sensei about how when we run beginners class, we always have to, when a new person shows up, we always have to like pull someone aside, teach them how to fall and stuff. And I was like, why don't we just show them a video of how to fall? So
you're lazy. You're so lazy.
It's like, here's a link. Go watch it when you go home, like basically, right? Yeah. And maybe for the first day of class, we're like, okay, here's a link. Go watch it when you go home and tell everyone, hey, this is David. He's new. Don't throw him. Okay. Like, and just have him join in on the rest of the class. And that was my idea for the beginners class. And so with that said, we were going to re-record the Ukemi stuff from scratch and maybe with a little more details and stuff, going over all the basics, just like scratching the idea of not covering the basics in the beginning. But then I had a conversation with Philippe yesterday, and he was like, oh, you know, Sensei Ricard from Sweden? Like, he has some amazing Newaza video content. People in Reddit loved it, by the way. So I'll probably put it in the description. Check it out if you haven't looked at it. It's amazing. He teaches at the police dojo in Sweden, I think.
It's
firefighters. He's a firefighter.
Firefighters.
Yeah.
Firefighters and paramedics. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's really good. He taught Hollywood for a while. But anyway, Sensei Philippe's like, oh, I was talking to him today. He says he's going to release a new Ukemi series video. And I'm like, damn, he's taking out my ideas. Like,
damn, what I tell you.
So, yeah, speaking of people taking our ideas, not that he's actually, I'm just kidding, but people doing beach judo, that's been happening. I've saw 3 dojos in our area doing that. and then Ukemi videos now, because everyone just focuses on throws. So it's great. So I think it's good to have duplicates, especially if you're going into details. We'll talk about it more when we talk about the training camp in a bit. But one of the key things that Darcel from the training camp told us was like, everyone's saying the same message. It's just that we have different ways of interpreting it or different ways of delivering the message, which might mean different things to different people. So, and people will understand it differently. So it's good to have more content out there. So other than tuck your chin and slap the mat, which is what a lot of stuff out there is. But
all right. And with that, so let's go into that. So I know we've covered going to clinics before, and this is kind of another like episode going to be about, yes, it's going to be about our opinions on going to clinic stuff, but this is now going to someone that's more different clinic. And this is a very big clinic, in my opinion. Like, I know the Neil Adams one that Anthony went to before is actually very big also, but this one was actually very big, in my opinion, with adults. And this is going to be kind of one of my gripes about why I don't go to clinics is a little bit in this one as well, but this one's actually run a little bit better, in my opinion. So as Anthony said, he went
before we start, I think we need to separate the differences between a seminar, a clinic, and training camp. So I think what we went to was a training camp, it's more of a training camp, and with some clinic elements to it, and seminar, I guess. So, for example, the Nicholas Gill thing I went to, I think that was a seminar, and then the Neil Adams one, I think they called it a clinic. And I don't know what the clinic and seminar differences are, but it was pretty much the same. Like, you show up, they show you something, you practice it, they correct you, then there's like a Q&A session. And then that's pretty much a clinic / seminar is what I think it is. Now, what the thing I went to this past weekend is training camp. Like, it was just like conditioning, drilling. He also showed some stuff, and then just randori, like lots of randori. So that's a
I was surprised when you told me you guys did a lot of randori, because I thought it was just going to be him teaching his favorite techniques and stuff that he's really good at, stuff that he's famous for. But also heard that like Israel Hernandez was there also, and I was told that he got a little time to teach also one of his favorite techniques. Yeah,
so he showed up on day 2. He showed up on day 2. He wasn't there day 2. He was on the second session in day 1, and on day 2 he wasn't available. There's a lot of people that showed up to the I was about to call it a seminar.
The training camp.
I'm sorry, I'm not feeling, like I told you, I'm not feeling very well. But to the training camp. So we know how it is when someone famous shows up, like everyone starts showing up, right?
Yeah,
and it's like
everyone wants to be there.
They're like, Israel Hernandez hasn't seen Darcel for like 25 years since the Atlanta Olympics, basically. So, and they're apparently really close friends. They look like close friends. So yeah, it was just cool to see them like hang out and talk. And on day 3, Darcel kind of gave the floor to Israel, and Ugo Legrand also showed up to teach some of their own stuff, which was really cool, because I know Israel Hernandez has hosted the training camps in the past too, and I never really went, but so we got a little bit of everything, and they were kind of just repeating the same points that ourselves were saying, like regarding the hips and rhythm and balance and posture and everything. So it was cool to have a bit of time to learn the same stuff, like I said, from different people.
So like I was saying, so this was, so he was having this, I can't figure out what I want to say and stuff. It's so hot today, I can't barely think. I know we're both dying here. So Yandzi was having his clinic for 3 days. It was over the Labor Day weekend. So he went to it Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. It was being held in a Baldwin Park at their dojo. And this is where
Mohica Judo was dojo's location.
If you're ever in the LA area and you have the Tony Mohica tournaments, that's where it was held at. And his dojo's out of community center. It has this huge basketball court area, and you can fit like tons of people there. They usually have like 3 to 4 mat areas, depending on how they configure it.
Yeah. So the last time I was there was when I was a green belt, and I had my tournament there. It was like my first tournament after my knee injury. Not my knee surgery, my knee injury.
Yeah, before surgery.
Before surgery. It was my first tournament after my knee injury. So I really remember that place, and it's a great venue.
It is a really nice venue.
Yeah, the mats are a little hard, but I'll talk about that later.
Well, let's talk about that now. So I actually you complained about it, and one of our other members that came back on Monday to train, that did the training camp in the morning and then came to train at night, which I was really appreciative. I was like, that's amazing. Good job. And he was complaining about his back is that when you go there for a tournament, you fight maybe 2-3 matches, sometimes 4 for a crazy day, maybe 5 or something. So you really think, oh, well, it's on a basketball court, so it's just hardwood floors. You have to remember, this is concrete with hardwood floors or laminate floors, or it is, and then judo mats on top of that. And I'm not talking like 2-inch or some really thick judo mats. These are like 1-inch, 1.5-inch judo mats. Like, how thick would you say the judo mats were?
I would say they were 1.5, or all right. I will say they're 1.5, but with the caveat that these are really old mats, and some of them are like, let's just say they're smooth, and I think over the years of compressed, I had people falling in it so many times, it just got compressed. Yeah. Where when I slapped it, it felt like slapping concrete. Mm-hmm. So my hand hurt more than landing on it. So I was basically, it was really funny because I'll let you finish first. No.
So you can imagine, I'm going to tell this to people out there. So you can imagine, you're at your home dojo like us. We have subfloors, foam, plywood, 2-inch really nice mats and stuff, really thick, nice mats. So you said that. Now you're going to go to this clinic, this training camp for 3 days, and you're just getting thrown repeatedly. And then you're going to do like randori sessions. So now people are fighting hard now. And now they're throwing even harder now on these mats repeatedly. So I can imagine the damage just doing to you. Like, not like you're going to die or nothing. Hopefully not. But just like the damage you're taking for 3 days of intensive training. That's why Anthony only did 2 days. And the third day he was like, I'm out. I'm just going to watch. I'm going to watch and record. That's it. But some of the younger kids, they're just there fighting. And you're telling me that how congested it was with so many people being there because they want to train. People were landing on each other. People were falling. You almost got hit by 3 feet one time, you said.
No, my partner almost got hit by 3 feet falling. Like, it was like 3. You ever played those Mario games where there's like a thing fireball going up and down, like a fireball going up and down. There's like 3 of them swinging around. You got to like go right in between them. Yeah. So I threw my partner because Darcel's like, you got to throw people. You can't just
pick them up.
So he was like, you have to get a feel for it. So we kind of took care of each other because we're both a little older. My partner was like 39, 40. Mm-hmm. And we took care of each other and threw like every 10 versus like every single time or something like that. And I threw him and I just saw 3 feet coming swinging at his face, and I just yanked on his sleeve and he just like spun like a break dancer. It's just like his head just like barely missed the three legs. But I saw majority of the injuries I saw there that happen were due to people falling on someone else. Yeah. Not so much randori injuries. It was mostly people like my ankle popped because someone stepped on it, or I did see someone get their head stomped in. Oh my God. I think
not stomped in. I hope just stomped on. Just on.
Stomped on. He was unconscious. He was unconscious for a while. Oh. So man. Yeah. So we saw that. So
all right. So. What did you guys leave at that? What did you guys go over and do the first day? So let's go over each day. So
let's continue with the mats first. So I didn't tell my story. Like, all right, go ahead. It was really funny because by the second session of day 1, you already started seeing people stomping the mats to try and figure out like which ones are the soft ones and which ones are the hard.
They're stomping the mats.
We were spreading out to work on our stuff, and then you just see people stomping on the mats like, okay, this one's good, and they would like adjust the angle that they throw their partners at so that they don't land on the hard mat. And then you'll just see like there's a area by the the back corner. There's just like circle where no one was working in that little circle. There's like these little patches where people would like not be at because the mats were hard. And you can't tell by looking. Like you think the smoother mats are harder, but no, sometimes the smoother mats were the soft ones, and then the newer looking mats were the hard ones. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it was just really funny how you used to see people stomping, slapping, like trying to figure out where the hard and soft mats are. And also the mats were not together really well. They tried to use mat tape to cover it up so toes don't get caught. Yeah. But there were still gaps that were forming. So I had to be really careful with that too. I was like moving my partner saying, hey, I don't want your toe to get trapped here. Let's like shift over. So yeah, I'm sure the kids didn't give a crap. But us old guys were like just being very careful of that kind of stuff. And there weren't that many heavyweight people there. So me and my other partner were the only two tallest people there, and there's two other heavyset guys there. So by day 3, I think there was only me, my partner left already. That's one of the reasons why I didn't continue too, is because I trusted him. He was a pretty good partner. Yeah. And I looked at how some of the other guys threw their partners day 1 and day 2, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm okay. And like,
mutual benefit.
And by the second session, well, not even the second session, I think halfway through the first session, by the first water break, I think most of the other heavyweights also just like went to the changing room and changed out, and there was just one guy left because one guy came up to me and was like, "Oh, are you okay?" And I was like, "I don't have a training partner." Everyone else my size like left.
They all ran away. I was so sad.
Well, people don't understand when you get heavy. It's not just the age, but when you're bigger, heavier, then the falls are harder too. And also because of the situation with the mats, like I just don't think people want to take the falls anymore. So,
well, 3-day
that was my story with the mats.
Well, 3-day training camp is a lot, you know, and it's. I kind of wish that I did go, but I had responsibilities to come teach at the dojo anyways. But it's one of the reasons, because you never know who you're going to get.
Thanks for running class, by the way.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why, I like going to training camps, but then I like going to training camps so I have a plan, you know? If I know that you're going to be there, I know like Matt's going to be there, someone I can trust to work out with, I'll go. But if I'm just going to a training camp, find myself blind, it's just like, I don't know who I'm going to end up with, if they're going to be considerate, not considerate, nice, mean, big, small, they're a heavy thrower, they're a light thrower. You don't know what's going to be. Yeah. And one of the things, the other reason why I don't like going to training camps is because, clinics, why I don't like going to clinics is because sometimes there's too many kids. I know I talked about this before, there's too many kids. And I know this clinic or this training camp had the thing of minimum green belt. So if you looked at our Facebook or Instagram with our students, we had some of our students that really wanted to go to this training camp, that really wanted to do this. So they studied hard. They're like, I got to get my green belt. So they're like intense training.
Speaking of which, I'm very proud of them because they kept up with everything that they were doing. Because like I said, Ugo Legrand showed up unannounced and he was just teaching Ashiguruma, for example, which is not a common throw that most people teach people under brown belt, right? Yeah. I think. No. And they knew right away what he was talking about. And they were able to follow and try stuff out and understand the concepts and everything. So I was really proud of them.
So I was talking about when you guys were talking about it, like them being green belts, like, hey, if they're going to do it, let's get them to this point so that they know what they're doing. And one of my things why I don't like, but again, like why I don't like going to clinics, because I tend to see that it's mostly too many children go there. Too many like yellow belts, white belts, like really young citrus colors go there because their parents want them to. Their parents just want the glory of saying, "Oh, my child trained with Yandzi. My child trained with Neil Adams. Oh, my child trained here with so and so." Just as a talk, your kid's not. I'm sorry if some parents might be hearing this and get mad at me, but your kid is not going to retain any of this. It might be a cool experience for them, but that's all it's going to be. They might, if they're really good, learn one thing that might stick with them. I don't think it is.
So I understand your sentiment because the Neil Adams seminar was, if I remember correctly, minimum orange belt. And I mean, an orange belt is basically white belt for kids at that point, right? And that's why I think when I went, I thought it was kind of a waste of time because you couldn't really teach them anything, like you said. Like, if I had him Neil Adams teach stuff that I saw on YouTube that I wanted him to go over at the seminar. I don't think the kids would understand. And there weren't that many adults there. It was mostly kids. Same thing with Nicholas Gill's seminar. Like, it was mostly kids. And I ended up becoming the Uke because I was one of the few adults there that could still take falls. But even the Nicholas Gill seminar was still great. But I think the training camp in this case, there was a lot of kids, but I don't think there were a lot of clueless kids. Like, there were white belts there. I don't know why they were there. And they were clearly not able to even do the basics that he was asking. Like, throughout this whole 3-day camp, they actually had like, he actually said, "Dude, let's do this drill," and then people were like completely lost, like clueless. And he was like, "Did you see me cross my feet? Like, I didn't cross my feet. Why are you crossing your feet?
Talk shit. Put them in their place." Yeah, I love that.
So he's like, okay, clearly he didn't say it the way that I said it, but because his English is not perfect, but he said, like, okay, you guys can't do this. Let's do this easier drill that builds up to it. And then, wow, you still can't do it. So at that point, we were doing like this osotogari drill that we make kids do at our dojo, like the hopping in place and going like this thing. I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this at a elite training camp right now. Like, it's what my thought was thinking. And like, there were so many instances where he had to simplify stuff and dumb it down for us. And I'm also guilty because I can't remember what drill. There was one drill, I think it was a Kosotogari drill while moving with grip. It was a grip fighting drill. That's what it was. That I never ever have done it before because no one's ever taught me, and I was struggling to do it. And but I've also seen some really bad ukemi. Like, we were doing ukemi for warm-ups, and you know how people do the ninja roll, you said, the combat base, the BJJ Aikido roll with the knees. Like, I was seeing black belts do that. Like, so that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to rush giving the green belt to some of the people, is because their ukemi wasn't good enough, even though they know all the throws and all that stuff. I'm like, I don't care, because we talked about how bad the mats were. Like, sending them to this training camp, just asking them to get hurt. Right. So, I kind of personally, I sat out for most of the randori. I'm just going to admit it. No shame in it, even though it was kind of hard. I had to say no to a lot of people because I don't know you. Right. So, and my knee was like, my knee swelled up the first day after the first day of the training camp, because the Darcel went over a lot of advanced. Well, I don't know if it's advanced. It was advanced for me. Footwork, like, 'cause there were a lot of ashiwaza. The whole camp was basically ashiwaza, like, and movements and stuff. And my knee was just like doing a lot of twisting movements. So by the end of day one, it swelled up and I had to ice it at home. And then by the next morning, the swelling went down. So I just went back to the training camp. But the end of day two, this pain and swelling went from my knee to my hip now. So then I was like, all right, ice it, and then ibuprofen, and kept training, right? And then by the end of day two, the next morning, like, I'm like, my back is hurting now. Like, I can't. Like,
these mats are literally killing me right now.
Yeah, so it's like going up. It's not just the mats. It's the drill is just putting a lot of stress on my knee that I don't think is my physical therapist said I re-injured it when I went to the Seattle Portland trip, because I pushed it too hard, too fast. It's not ready for it yet. So it took a lot of me to put aside my ego to, at the end of day two, to be like, okay, I'm sorry, my knee doesn't feel really well. I'm not going to go at the end of day two. Because there's an afternoon randori session, and then there's the late afternoon, like basically before lunch randori session, and after lunch, end of the set class randori session. And there was some, what Darcel called cool ups, like cool up drills, like cool downs, but basically in conditioning drills after randori. So yeah, it took a lot of willpower for me to say, like, I'm just gonna be the guy who says, no, I can't. It's too much for me. So, I treated it more like a seminar with some randori on the side. I think in total, over the course 2 days that I didn't really participate on the last day, I probably did like 10 rounds of randori total.
That's a lot.
So so it was like 5 per day, which is not a lot, I think. But overall, the people I picked carefully, I watched them go with other people first, were really like, they weren't throwing me into other people or driving me across the mat. I did have a close call with someone was driving someone with an ouchigari across the mat, and he almost fell on the side of my knee. But I saw it coming, and then my partner was good enough to stop and not attack me while I just froze up, and then I pushed the guy away with my hand. So that was a close call with my knee. So after that close call, I wore a knee brace the next day in case that happened again. I mean, I talked to Philippe afterwards. I'm like, Philippe, in Europe, are all the training camps like this? He's like, yeah, they're all even more bloody. Like, and I'm like, okay, like, it's great and all. If you're trying to be an Olympian, make the national teams, I get it. But I'm just here to learn. I'm like almost mid-30s now. Well, I am in my mid-30s now, and I have a job and stuff. So it's like,
you're getting to that point of like, oh, judo's just a hobby. I'm not going to kill myself.
Yeah, well, I've always said this.
I'm so sad.
I've always said this. Like, I made this podcast for.
I will die on this mat. All right. I will die.
My angle of this podcast, I've always said in both our anniversary episodes, was like, we want something for the recreational adult, right? And I don't want people. I want to share my experience as a recreational adult that started later. Started when I was 27. I mentioned started later in his life, and not just some guy who trained since he was 5 and like was on the cadet team or something like that. Like,
so that's kind of
so I want to share my experience with that
right there of that, the recreational player. So because I'm not big on clinics and stuff, so I was really interested in it. But like you said, there are still white belts going to this one. Were they teen white belts, adult white belts, young white belts that were
everything? There were two older adult white belts. And at first I'm like, maybe they forgot their belt. Maybe they're traveling and borrowing a gi or something like that. But then I was watching the drills they do. They were like just doing moving, like the basic moving, pulling drills and stuff like that. So if they were to, so in my mind, I might get some shit for it, but in my mind, it was like we had some people at our dojo that wanted to go, but couldn't because it was full. It was full. And in my mind, it's like these two guys just took up 2 spots from someone else. That's how I see it. That wanted to be there. So, I don't know. Maybe what, but just you can also think of it as just 2 spots. Maybe he's really close friends with the sensei.
My thing would be like if you're the recreational player and you thought like, oh, I just want to go train with this Olympian. I want to train. He trains a French team. He's a really good judo player. I want to go train with him. And you get there and you're like, oh, and judo's really rough. This is too hard for me. This is like bad. Like I get that that thing of judo bullying. Like we get sometimes people when you're not ready to be at this level, but you for some reason try to go train at that level. You know? Yeah,
I kind of felt like I don't belong. I'll just say that straight up. It's because, like I said, it's elite. I'm like, okay, these people are trying to get better. I saw some insane stuff, but just say like, there's no way they could have gotten the score. Well, it's randori. There's no score. But my point is, there's no way they could have gotten the throw. But they did something so crazy that to risk injury for it. So these people are like going hard, like, and you need to do that at a training camp. I understand, which is why I felt like I don't belong there. But what comforted me was there was other people like me there that were just here to learn all the advanced stuff. And I think in the future, it probably would have been better for him to stay. Okay, maybe asking him to stay longer is not the right word, but maybe just like a 2-3 hour seminar before, like earlier in the morning or later in the afternoon versus just a full training camp, or just offer people just to do 1 day seminar or something like that, instead of just like, now we have 150 people on the mat and people falling on top of each other. And some of those people don't want to be there for the crazy part. I call it crazy part, but the intense part. And then some of us just wanted to be there to learn the training methods, which is essentially what he told us. He's like, I'm giving you these tools. I don't expect you to do it right now, but I want you to bring it back to your dojo and share it and learn it and stuff. But I wasn't there to do like 100 push-ups and crunches and, you know what I mean? So, just beware of what you sign up for is what I guess what I'm trying to say. If you're another recreational adult, and then let's say Kosei Inoue comes to LA and maybe for the LA Olympics, and he does a quote unquote training camp.
I don't think he would do a training camp with us. He would do a seminar. I don't think he'd be like giving away secrets.
I know. I'm using an example. Like some famous guy comes and do or woman comes and do a training camp again. Then now I know what to expect. And I'm trying to tell people, like, don't expect it to be a seminar, basically. And if you end up going like I did, then you're just put your ego aside. Don't just put your ego aside. Say no to randori. Say no to tapping out and just watch or whatever. It's fine. Like, you're still learning. Just don't put your body on the line.
You don't need any broken arms.
Especially,
you don't need no one passing out. Falling asleep. Just tap out.
Especially given how expensive healthcare is here. Like, you know, like your risk level is different. You know, like if I'm a multimillionaire, I don't have a job, and I just train all day for fun, recreationally. Plus, I can afford all the knee surgeries in the world and rehab. Then I'm like, okay, fuck it. I'm gonna
get that bionic knee put in.
I said it already. Yeah, I'll just say whatever. I'm just gonna do this. If I get hurt, then whatever. I'm just gonna go every single round randori, right? But I can't. So just be aware of what your what level of risk you're willing to do is. Don't be dumb. So that's what I'm gonna say.
The last thing that I would say about that is, these training camps, clinics, stuff like this, they put on the paperwork a belt requirement because that's what they feel you need to be. If you're not at that belt, don't go. All right. I know, like I said before, it's going to seem cool to train with somebody or be there. You don't know when they're going to come back again. But the risk of you hurting yourself, hurting somebody else, like, I don't care about looking bad or nothing, but it's my thing about just hurting somebody. If it says green belt requirement, then they're expecting you to know certain things. And even with Yandzi, like you said, like, okay, well, let's dumb it down a little bit. I'm going to stay straight out. I'm going to dumb it down a little bit. Okay, they're still not again. Let's dumb it down some more. Okay, I had planned to teach A. I'm over here teaching F level. Okay, I feel like I'm wasting my time. So I don't want to be mean out there. I don't want to be mean, but I have to say, like, if it's a green belt minimum, you should be a green belt. Don't be wasting people's time there as an orange belt or yellow belt or white belt. Or I just started judo 2 weeks ago. This is really cool. I want to go. I'm sorry. Wait till next time. Oh, Anthony's dying here. He's coughing a lot.
Sorry, I choked on my water. Well, I was going to say they were actually selling spectator passes.
Yeah.
You could have won as a spectator. You could have won as a spectator, not participate. So,
So what's a 3-day clinic? Do you want to go over what you went through every day or anything interesting that they taught?
No, I think they had people recording it, and I recorded videos. So I think it'll be up. But like I said, it's mostly Ashiwaza and what you see on his Instagram. Like it's he goes into detail, but the best part of it is him correcting you. Sorry. Philippe also does a lot of the stuff that the footwork that he teaches. So we can work on it at the dojo. So there's that. And I'm not going to go into detail of it. I just want to talk about the experience of it. It was really great.
It sounded like a very interesting experience. Another fun time.
I also met a lot of people, like great people. We just like, it was a networking thing, like adults and stuff. And there was a couple of podcast listeners, and then some people that are friends of friends that we never actually met, but on Instagram we talked and shared techniques and stuff like that, and shared connections. And Yeah, it was just really, really fun. That was the best part, meeting people and experiencing all the different types of judo there.
Mm-hmm. That sounds fun. So if there's anything else about the clinic you want to talk about, let me know. Do you want to move on to the technique stuff, or do you just want to be done today?
No, let's move on to technique stuff. We still, the clinic was good. Before I move, I want to mention, I did meet Sensei Larry Sitsui from Fresno Judo. We interviewed him when the AJDM panel.
Yeah.
So I think this is why a lot of people that probably listen to the podcast and recognize me he was like, I didn't know you were that tall. Like people said in person.
That's why people think I'm big. No, it's a funny thing because people think that I'm super short because you're taller than me. Like, oh, Matt, Anthony's Asian. He can't be that tall. One must be a midget or something, you know?
Yeah, I've been meaning to go over and say hi to him, but I was like, they were going really fast. The camp. I didn't want to miss anything that he was saying. Darcel was saying. So, and then every time there was a lunch break, he was gone. So I was like, man. And then eventually Philippe came, and then Philippe introduced us, and he was like, I saw you, and I thought that was you, but I didn't know you were that tall. So, yeah. So I asked him about the AJDM stuff because I originally wanted to ask him again, like email him and be like, hey, I want to do a follow-up interview about the AJDM episode that we did, like how it's been like what, a year and a half, 2 years now.
Yeah.
And how's it going? What's long story short, it's dead. So,
give my condolences. Pour some water out for him.
I'm not going to go into details. They're not dealing with it anymore basically. But, I kind of expected it, and which is why I wanted to do that episode in the first place, because I wanted to be like, okay, let's see where it goes a year or two from now. So now we're bringing it back up and just saying it's gone now. We're not going to make another episode about it, but it's pretty much dead. And I talked to Sensei Larry about how it's sad that it died so easily, because we do need a development model like most other countries have, because I'm like, look at this camp, like people don't know the basics. There's inconsistencies in what people are taught as basics, and it's showing in the camp. And it would be great to at least have some groundwork. Like you don't have to have a full framework. Just start with like first year judo. This is what you learn. Everyone has to do it or something. But anyway, that's a different topic. That's all about the training camp.
Okay. All right. So the thing that we're talking about with technique stuff, it was just a little funny thing that me and Anthony were noticing. And this is one of the funnier things about being lost in translation with judo. And this is one I wanted to talk about. I think we might go into the thing about bad technique teaching anyways. Is like how certain words will get lost in judo. This is a little funny story. How a funny friend of ours, the BJJ guy, was asking us about what's the difference between Diashi Barai and Diashi Harai. You remember that one, Anthony?
Yeah, and every time I just tell people it's different pronunciations. It says like tomato and tomato, basically. Yeah.
And the funny thing is that people will just like die on hills of just like there's Juji Gatame and Ude Gatame. And some people call it Yuji Gatame. And like Yuji, what's Yuji? I've never heard of Yuji before. It's just
different pronunciation because of language like just like how Jose, like Jose is pronounced Jose in Spanish. Yeah. Like, so when you come across some of these things, don't worry. Don't be like, what's going on here? I can't forget it. There's certain words that get lost in translation. And there's some words like with me that I've been in judo for a long time, you know, and there's some words that I can't even say right ever. I can never say right. Like, what was it? Waki Katame. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I always call Waki
Jajime.
I always call Waki Jajime for some reason because it reminds me of Jajime. Like, and Anthony one time we got a little tip one time during class. Like Anthony, would talk back to me right now in class.
Yeah. I usually don't talk back to you and just let you call it because I know like it's hard for like I struggle with some languages too, like learning the words. So I usually don't say anything, but then when you told the beginners like it's this technique is called Waki Jajime, I'm like, no, well, why? It's not. You can't tell other people the same incorrect stuff. So like
Sasai Surukonashi, like I can say Sasai Surukonashi, but if it's just Surukonashi, I'm just like I can't say it right stuff.
So, see, like I think the judo community gets a lot of flack and memed on for being overly focused on discussing the names of techniques and stuff like that, and rightfully so. Like I think too many people focus too much on the names, but I think what people should focus more on is the mechanics. Like people from the outside, like that don't know judo, come in and look at it is like, hip throw's a hip throw. Like who the hell cares if it's like a koshiguruma versus a ashiguruma versus a or more commonly, if you look at MMA, it's harai goshi versus oguruma. The harai goshi versus oguruma. That's more common in MMA, seeing those two. Or uchimata versus the hanegoshi, the eternal. Don't at me. Don't leave a comment about that. I don't give a crap what you think. All right, about that topic.
It's also the drop seoinage. They'll call like any drop throw like, drop seoinage. It's like that wasn't drop seoinage.
I talk about how like that's a seoitoshi, but I don't really care. I'm okay with drop seoinage. People calling it that because there's basically been languages evolves, right? So whatever you want to call it, I don't care if you call it drop seoinage. Just don't say that the mechanics of a drop seoinage is the same as seoinage. You just drop to your knees. Like if you teach it like that, then I think there's a problem. Yeah. So like I said, the names are attached to the mechanics, but focus on mechanics of the throw. Don't overly focus on the name of the techniques itself. Because with that said, there are gray areas. There are some throws that are performed in under pressure in competition that will like lie in between the two, right? Like, and that's where I think that's the crux of where the argument of hanegoshi versus uchimata comes from, is because the version that people argue about is like at that border between the two. And when I mess up the uchimata, I get stuck and I can't do it. I pop my hip out, it turns into hanegoshi. I feel it. And that's how fine the line is. And there's no point in arguing those fine lines, gray areas. But when you have to teach someone to throw or try to identify how a throw is done, I think the labeling it and having the mechanic is very important. But arguing like a super gray area throw that could have been either one, because like it's stupid, I think. But
the reason we talked about it is because me and Anthony both look at a lot of videos online. We look at stuff on Instagram. We look at stuff on YouTube. We watch a lot of judo videos, both of us. And we just noticed this lately. And I don't know, like, it's funny because we both watched at the same time. We noticed lately that a lot of more, this is even judo players, but it's usually BJJ guys or Sambo guys that do this. But I've noticed a lot more judo players wearing black belts and stuff, or brown belts, will literally be putting up videos with the wrong names up. And I understand, like, maybe you forgot the name you're not sure. One, always look it up. Like, get a good judo book. Get the Kodokan judo book or something, or get Best Judo. It's one of my favorite judo books. Go look at stuff up. And if you don't have an instructor that's there to help you out, look up videos. Like I said before, when we talk about our favorite things to look at, I go to Neil Adams. If I don't have Philippe here to discuss and try to figure out exactly what I'm trying to do, or I'm confused on something, I go look at Neil Adams videos. You can go look at American Judo System's videos and to be sure what you're teaching. Because I don't want you or someone else to look at this and then learn the wrong things. And the video that we watched, it was someone trying to teach uchimata, but instead was doing harai goshi, I think it was. And
I lost track of them because I see so many of them, like you said.
Yeah. And it's just like, I understand the wording get confusing and stuff like that, especially when I post, I'm doing this really cool thing. Try to not post the wrong thing. I'd rather you call it just, I'm doing this judo throw, you know? But that again goes in another thing of people putting up videos of terrible judo throws and people getting 10,000 likes on it. And it's like, how?
That's the thing. That's the one thing I want to point out is do not look at likes or views or upvotes or downvotes to determine whether something's correct or not. It's not always the case. You got to do it's very likely that it is correct if it's like upvoted or liked or has a lot of views, but it's not always correct. I was on Reddit the other day and someone was like, someone posted something that from the UFC fight actually. And the people were arguing about whether it's Kosotogari or Kosotogake.
Yeah, that one when I saw what's the name almost broke his knee. It looked
Usman.
Like
Usman almost broke his knee. Yeah, that was a gray area. Like I said, it was a gray area thing that it wasn't worth arguing about. It was in between the two. It had elements of two different things. So, but then people's justification for it, like for why this is Gari versus Gake, like the wrong information was being upvoted and the right information was being downvoted. I don't like
that. They're not wearing a BJJ. Get them out of here.
The thing is, there's this guy like asking people to explain. He said, I think it's this, but I don't see why you guys think it's this. Like, but people are like, it's obvious that it is. Like, it's just obvious. Like, okay, where's your reasoning? Where's your explanation? Where's your sources? Like, so it's just funny how, don't look it up or downvote. There's a lot of people that upvote or reinforce the wrong information. So if you see something and you don't understand it, just ask why. Or if you're going to post something, say, hey, this is a judo throw I learned, but I don't know what it is. Right. So some very common gray area throws that are like Sasai, Surikomiashi versus Hizaguruma. Most of the time it's Sasai. It's very uncommon to see Hiza, but that's one of those throws where you see some Hizaguruma elements in most of the competition level of Sasai done, even though they're still technically Sasai. Another one, common one is that it's not worth arguing about is, you know how you teach Ogoshi sometimes with the underhook? That I say is more of a Surikomi Goshi. Because of the lifting, the underhook providing that lifting action. But at the same time, it's also keeping uke close to your hips and your back. So it's still like could be a ogoshi. But yeah, so again, it's not worth arguing, but it's worth pointing out what that underhook is doing, right? So the name doesn't matter. Focus on the mechanics. So
there's a little side rant we're doing today because we've been watching a lot of these videos and we send them to each other and we get heated and we're like, what? Put out there, like, just look at good technique. Don't look at these people doing bad technique. And I don't know how these people with bad technique are getting all these views and likes. That's the thing that blows my mind. You see people doing like bad dayashis or kuriashis and stuff, like sloppy, ugly ones. And I look at things like, oh, they got 1,000 likes. Like, how does that have 1,000 likes? I don't understand that. Or something very sloppy that works in slow motion. But if you did it in full speed, it wouldn't work at all. Like, that's like it's a little pet peeve that me and Anthony's been happening lately. Sasai
Surikomiashi is commonly taught as blocking the shin, right? Blocking the shin bone, but people forget about the Surikomiashi part, the Surikomi part, which is a lifting, pulling part,
the arms part,
and then the really important part is you want uke to ideally take a step forward for the leg that you're blocking. And even if they don't take that step forward, they have to want to take that step forward to maintain the balance. And that's when you block that leg and use your hands to pull them over. And the hand is also generating that kuzushi, basically, right? In this case, we can actually say pulling, generating kuzushi because it actually is. If you watch our Kazushi video, then you would understand what that context I just said. But in this case, your hands are making them want to step forward and you block them. But some people will just say like block the shin and then pull them over. That's like totally not correct. So, okay, maybe not totally not correct, but it's not the best way.
It's funny, like when you say that, I totally think of Hizaguruma as knee wheel, you know, how you're doing it right there. But Sasai isn't Hizaguruma, you know, it's not knee wheel. It's not shin wheel. All right. Yeah. If you think about it, it's not shin wheel. Yeah. All right.
So judo technique names have, it's probably judo is one of the martial arts that probably has the best way of classifying techniques, but there's a lot of faults and holes and stuff because I mean, I'm still obsessed to this day about differentiating between Sasai and Hizaguruma. I still haven't found a completely satisfactory answer yet, but I'm like, there's no way Jigo Kano, this smart guy, would differentiate a technique just based off of where you're placing the foot. Like, that's stupid. Then why don't we have a thigh wheel? Why don't we have a face wheel? Why don't we have a toe wheel?
Face wheel. Have my foot right on your face. And Yoko Tomonage on your head here. That's the only way you would get it. You'd have to do Yoko Tomonage on their face.
Yeah, you get where I'm getting at, right? There has to be something more to it. And there is. And I explained it before, but I'm not going to get into it. And basically, Judo is really good at classifying stuff, but there are holes. So just take it for what it is. Humans try to classify everything, but we can't classify everything to the perfection, basically. And some of the techniques are either named by the mechanics or they are named for historical reasons, like based off of like old school jiu-jitsu schools that they took the techniques from.
Look at Raging Mountain Storm, okay?
Yeah.
Look at that one.
Yeah. Well, in that case, some of them were left there for historical reasons. Like that was for Saito, for his named after him, basically for him in honor of him. It was kept there, even though nobody really uses it or teaches it anymore. Some of them are, like I said, from other schools of jiu-jitsu, like Tani Itoshi doesn't really describe how to do it. Valley drop, like this. So you just gotta accept some of the names don't make sense. They're just there because of historical reasons. So, or to honor someone. So, yeah.
It's just like I said, just little of our pet peeves and stuff. We just get us off our chest a little bit. We've been getting at each other, telling each other like, you gotta tell the public. You gotta tell the public about this sometimes.
If you need to summarize the discussion, basically, there are people who are super against judo, people naming all the techniques. Like, why is it so important to name it? And then there are people that are like, the names are super important. But I'm telling you, the truth is somewhere in the middle where focus on the mechanics. Don't spread misinformation. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. And accept that you can be wrong. Like the stuff that I just mentioned just now about the mechanics, I could be wrong, right?
Well, so
have a discussion about it.
Somebody listening to our podcast right now, probably just yelling at us, being like, no, it is this right here. This book, it says right here, Kano said this, or so-and-so sensei said that.
Yeah, or there could be no answer at all. Like
it's clearly written that the Kodokan said on this date right here, the IGF ruled on this date. So just watch out for misnamed stuff. You might get confused. Watch out for bad techniques. Like try to go, like we said before, when we talk about learning on your own, go to reliable sources. Yeah,
people forget that Koichi Makikomi was just Koichi Gari until 2017. But then 2017 came along. Kodokan was like, the mechanic's so different. It's a Makikomi mechanic. We're gonna make it his own technique. So things happen, things change. There's no black and white answer to this kind of stuff, and it's better to just have a healthy intellectual debate about the mechanics, basically. Right. So,
and with that, we're going to end this episode of Tatami Talk. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us. You can follow us on Instagram, YouTube. You can follow us on YouTube at Tatami Talk. You can follow us on Instagram at Tatami Talk. You can follow me on Instagram at @Jerry_Juan. You can follow Anthony at Anthony Throws on Instagram. If you guys have any questions, things you guys want to talk about, things you want to go over, and I've actually helped some people lately that's been saying some questions about stuff. Remember, we're always here to help you guys, okay? You can hit us up at tatamitalk@gmail.com. And with that, Anthony, is there anything else?
Yeah, Ukemi series video coming. Look forward to it. Hopefully, I'm kind of nervous about recording it because I'm always like, oh man, we should have included this. Oh man, we should have included this. So I think just making the videos longer, including as much. I'm probably going to make a draft. So it's coming, but it'll take a while. Yeah. Please be patient.
Coming 2023.
I know some people ask. Yeah, I'm actually going to try and plan this video because usually we ad-lib the videos in our podcast episodes. So
we have we have lines of stuff, but we just go all over the place after a while. We just start talking about everything. All right. So Anthony, you ready? Ready for the evening? Mm-hmm. All right. So with that, don't forget to
slap the really hard mats that I went to at this training camp.
At Ballpark Park.